Hello, everybody. This is the Justin Lassick Podcast, and I'm very excited about this episode. Before we get to it, you can find more information about me and all the social media links on justinlassick.com, Lassek. I'm starting to write some articles, got a lot of stuff planned, got some future content coming out, and very excited about it. This episode was recorded in December of 2020, and there's just been some delay in getting this stuff out. Got some episodes already recorded and lots of people lined up, so I'm very excited. In this case, this is Popstar Nima, and he is now my friend, and I'm very excited about that. I looked forward to this for a long time. The story of how I found him is in this episode, but essentially Popstar Nima is a fella that is also a pop star, and it's satirizing and paying homage to the genre, which I appreciate, but also, as we talk about in this episode, Popstar Nima loves the comedy aspect of this whole thing. So please enjoy everything there is to enjoy about Popstar Nima, and you can find more about him on popstar-nima.com. Behold, my new friend, Popstar Nima. Popstar Nima is here with me on the internet. How you doing, man?
Hello, I'm doing.
And so, who are you wearing?
This I don't know. I was giving it as a gift like a couple years ago. It's like my gayest sweater, I think.
What makes the sweater gay?
I mean, it's got a pretty. I guess it's like it's got an ombre. The people. I don't know if people are going to be able to see this or not because.
Oh yeah. It'll be on YouTube, and then the audio will be for audio, but people will be able to see it.
And then it's got like the turtleneck. I guess it's not gay. I'm sorry. It's for everybody.
I mean, I don't. You're the expert, man. I don't know, but if anybody, for the people that can't see me, and watch how I seamlessly advertise for you right off the bat. I am wearing a Popstar Nima shirt. I was the 11th person to buy one. I saw that you like kind of jadedly said that they weren't selling on the Tosh.0 thing. So this shirt is much softer than my friend Billy Wayne Davis, the comedian. His shirt is like wool, dude. It's like,
oh, thank you.
This one's soft. So it's a nice shirt. I think everybody should get one because it's pink. It's funny. One thing I like about you is that you're paying homage and satirizing like pop stuff, but I don't think it's like a construct you're playing. What do you have to say about that?
I think it's sort of like, yeah, it's an homage to it, but I'm also like, I love it. Like, I love pop stars.
That's evident. Yeah.
I just love everything about them. I love that. That's like the showgirl aspect of it.
Yeah. It's almost slightly burlesque. So in the Joshua Tree video, when you have like the platform boots on, which how do you even find boots like that are in your size? Like how tall are you?
I'm not very tall at all. I'm 5'9".
Okay.
Yeah.
But so I guess like did you just buy women's boots that were big, or or they men's boots?
No,
I'm already too far into this, man. I'll have to back up, but go ahead.
Most of the time I get my stuff from stripper stores in Hollywood. Nice. But those shoes in particular were given to me by someone else who does drag, and they were like, you should wear these. You never wear heels.
Yeah.
And I wore them for that video, but normally I just wear sneakers because that's easier for me to dance in.
I remember the first time, at least that my girlfriend heard that song, as I played it on her TV, and like the beat, when people hear the beat, they're like, oh, and then the video is so fucking weird, which we're going to talk about in general. But so your cousin is the one who makes the videos, right? He is the producer, the director.
Yeah, I usually will come to him with an idea. A couple of the times I was like, I don't know what to do for this one. Let's come up with an idea together. You give me an idea. But usually when I'm making the song, I sort of have something in mind. And for Joshua Tree, it was just sort of like, I really wanted to be on the side of the road and have someone pick me up. That was kind of the whole idea.
Yeah. I've been to Joshua Tree, so I've like been in those areas that you're recording in. So, and I've been to Palm Springs, and I've seen like a drag show at Palm Springs like during the day, like. And then I've been to Key West. Have you ever been there?
No, I haven't. So I'll have to make a music video about Key West.
Yeah, but if you go there, I mean, any time of year is beautiful. I've been there twice for like 10 different days or 10 days each time. And like, you'll see like old guys that are basically wearing your outfits in the videos, like riding bikes down the street, but they're like just old tan leathery guys that like you probably like just were like, fuck it, I'm going to live in Key West. And then, you know, some of them, I don't know. There's a lot of gay folk down there. So like, there's a lot of like interesting things that happen, but it's just like a really fun place, especially if you like to party. But it's like, it seems like the Florida or the East Coast or Southeast version of Palm Springs.
Yeah. Yeah, there's another kind of gay place in Florida. Where is it? Is it Fort Lauderdale's supposed to be pretty gay?
I don't know. I did live in, I mean, I'm not the expert. I'll dig into it. My job was having, you know, part of it was making human networks so we can figure it out. I'm going to throw in some random questions that are like user submitted as we talk. So we have, one of them is they were concerned because they were like, so the venues that he performs live in, the venues with chairs, like, is Popstar Nima liable for the moisture damage due to the fans' excitement that occurs all over the chairs? Is that something you have to deal with when you like plan and for these shows?
I think anyone who has me on, you know, is just expecting just a big jizz show anyway. I mean, most of the places I perform at, if they want me, they're expecting something kind of weird. So they usually whatever's happening.
What types of places are these then?
I mean, a lot of them were actually variety shows that would want me because it's also what I do is partly comedy. It's not just partly.
Don't worry. The people who actually know what you're talking about, they already know. You don't have to clarify to them. But the reason that I know about you, and I'm sure maybe the internet would have slammed against me at some point, but like I'm friends with Sturgill Simpson, and I told you in a text, but he's Grammy Award winning in country and a Grammy nominated in rock and roll this year musician. And he has these bluegrass records that came out, and he's just like a good friend of mine. And we met after I got hurt as a Green Beret and got blown up and everything. But he randomly sent me a video, and it was Joshua Tree.
Wow.
And I have a friend named AC who makes silly videos that some at times can have some gay overtones. He makes silly pictures of Sturgill, and so Sturgill ends up seeing him and laughs at him and stuff, right? So he's got a good sense of humor. Excuse me. And he goes, "Hey, send this to AC and tell him Sturge said you're welcome." And so that's how we found it. And then AC was like, "You gotta like," because I didn't watch like much more than a few seconds because I was like, "All right, I don't know if I can do whatever that is right now," because I didn't know. And he was like, "You gotta watch it." And one thing that he thought was really funny was like are you in tuck all the time?
Yeah, I tuck.
So you're like in full tuck. And then have you ever like purposely made what is it called? The like a moose knuckle? Did you purposely make a moose knuckle? Or is that just a byproduct of the tuck? Because there was like a lot the Tosh thing, you clearly have go ahead.
Sometimes I can just make it pretty flat looking, and sometimes it just looks like a big fat vagina, depending on it depends on the I don't know the quality of the material, but it's like whatever. I'm just like, oh, great, this is what it is this time.
Where are you? What is that in the background? For nobody that can see, there's like, is that an insulated room for what we're doing?
Yeah, no, this is a recording studio. I've never recorded in here, but it's my brother-in-law's, and I was planning on recording in here soon. So this is my
nice. I fucking forgot what I was going to ask you.
Yeah, hey, people who I guess are maybe not going to see it is just like the foam wall for a studio.
It's purple though, so like in the aesthetic of your sweater is like sort of has blue, various blue colors. So it's almost like.
And I really want to.
And so one thing that I really love about the comedy of this is because, unfortunately for me, I'm not gay, and so I didn't grow up being gay and everything. But like, I feel like if I was gonna be gay, and I have gay friends, by the way, and everything, but I feel like if I was gonna be gay, like I would want to be funny with it, or like make it like the fact that it's so like that it's I don't know that could be bothersome to anybody is like at this point laughable. So it's like I think that the humor you have in this is just like the funny dude humor that now is applied to just that. And it's funny because some people can't handle it. And why do you think that is?
I mean, I feel like for me in general, music is just better when it's funny. I kind of like people who don't take themselves too seriously. Obviously, Weird Al was fun, but even people who are maybe a little bit more on the serious spectrum but still have some lightheartedness to it, like Kesha, I just like them. No, I feel like if I was straight even, I would want my music to be funny. But the gay stuff is, at least gives me something to talk about.
Yeah. It gets something in the door.
I can't help but talk about it.
So that's actually, there's like two ways I can go here, but what's interesting is kind of like drifting into a serious question. One of the people, and it's actually a good friend of mine, he was like, the common theme that I get in the questions about you is having to ask like about your confidence, because it just seems like whatever you're doing, like it doesn't bother you that you're doing it, and it doesn't bother you that it bothers some people, but like the people who pay like who know what you're doing love it. Like what did you have to learn, like the confidence in being able to like do whatever, like to do whatever the fuck you want, or is there still like an element that like this is new and scary and shit?
No, absolutely, I had to learn it. I feel like before performing live, at least, I think performing live gave me a confidence that I didn't have before. It was like the stage is an opportunity to be just, it's an imaginary space. Reality,
Right.
it could be whatever you want. So for me, it was sort of like, all right, well, here on stage I get to be as like slutty and confident as I want to be in real life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
isn't that like the theme in like this genre?
I was like, I don't even know what my genre really is.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, you are a pop star. You have to clarify that in every interview you do. I wanted to make sure you didn't have to here, because I understand.
But yeah, I guess sort of it is. I'm just sort of like Beyonce. You know how she has Sasha Fierce? I go from Nima to Popstar Nima.
What is your ethnicity?
I'm American.
Fair enough.
I'm Iranian. So
okay.
That's why my name's Nima.
I saw in your email the name, like I've deployed to Afghanistan. I didn't learn any like Farsi or anything like that, but I learned a little Pashto and Dari, and then I speak Arab, or I did speak Arabic. That was my language. So
Farsi is what they speak, or Persian is what they Persian is what they speak in Iran. It's not the most common ones. They probably didn't bother training you with that. There's like, you're never gonna have to do it.
Some of my friends did. Yeah. One of my good friends is Farsi speaker. Have you been over there?
A bit, like Jenda is slut.
So he will see this because I sent him your videos, and he's a Green Beret, so he's gonna be super tickled at that you said that.
Well, I hope he'll know that one and be able to use it frequently.
Yeah, I don't know how many Green Berets would stumble upon your material, but the ones that I'm friends with all would think it's cool. So
I'm so glad that you came across it and you actually liked it. It's so fun.
You've been doing these videos now for about 10 years, and they've like had a progression to them, it seems like, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't doing it as seriously for a while. Like, I kind of started recording. I've always been making like little silly songs growing up, just little jingles, but I kind of recorded the first one at 19, started making music videos at 20, and like was just doing one a year. And I didn't really start until like 27 to like take this really seriously and do it as something that I was like making an album and like putting out multiple music videos a year, and really
because you have 2 records out and they're on Spotify if anybody and whatever you listen to music on. Because the one thing that's interesting about the videos is that they're like really they're like, they seem very, very high quality. And like part of the homage and the satirization of this whole thing is like you're doing all these like dances and stuff that are like, emulating and being really like the one where you're lifted up and they like carry you down and then they like set you down, like it's just all like so funny and fun. And by the way, my favorite song and video is My Asshole. And so it said the beginning, you're just dancing in front of the mirror. So it's just like, Do you get to have fun doing it? And like, is it like a whole fun process making the videos?
I think it's probably what I look forward to throughout the year always is making these music videos. It's like what I love doing the most.
By the way, one of my friend's girlfriends always says you have really pretty eyes,
Uh,
and you do, because you did some silly ass like thing where you were singing in one of the pop voices, which I'm paying attention to all the voices you're doing and think they're hilarious. But you're doing one of the high pitched ones, but you're like really zoomed in on your face, and your eyes are really pretty, and the Iranian aesthetic is definitely there. So well done.
thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I guess when God was making me, it was like, let's do good eyes and then let's do some mental health issues. Sounds about good.
Dude, I mean, that's kind of part of being a person, you know? So what, well, I'm going to circle back to that, but since we have the video up right now, we're watching, this one's relatively new, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it just came out in the beginning of December. And so how long does it take to film one of these things?
I mean, all of them have been, for the most part, they've all been one day.
That's pretty cool. I mean, I've never done anything like that. And by the way, I've got a lot of friends that like comedy stuff, and their dream is to do something like this, to have like make silly songs and do silly videos, and like they're like he's like living the dream, like so I don't know. Go ahead.
People who, my cousin Arya, he helps me. He helps me direct. He directs the videos, and he helps make sure that everything runs well, and that like really helps put my ideas to life. I work on a tight budget, and I have Ryan Walker Page is the name of the choreographer who you're seeing all this choreo right now.
Mm-hmm.
I have people who really who are helping me do this, and that I otherwise probably couldn't like actually do this at all. But to do this all in one day with a tight budget, I feel really lucky that I have people who like want to support what I'm doing and want to make this happen.
Because it looks like you're at a public venue here too, and
I rented out this place called El Cid in LA.
Nice.
I performed there, so I was like, let me please. They were also for for COVID stuff, so it was kind of easier to book them for. That one that was about to play, that was Escalator. I kind of, with El Cid, we rented it out, but back in the day, I sort of would just be like, it's gonna be in public, we'll just try and film it.
Did you ever get in trouble?
Yeah, for Escalator, it was all a one take video, so we were able to do 4 takes before they kicked us out. Palm Springs, bitch, we just were in front. They were in whitey tidies in front of the Starbucks, and then no one actually kicked us out. We tried to keep it brief just because I didn't want to have.
Does anybody like recognize you in the coffee? Do you work in the coffee shop, or you just own it?
I was working there like pretty much full time, but then this past year I moved out here to LA to kind of focus fully on being a pop star. So
okay, I didn't realize you're in LA. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but I know you probably are, but I'm going to tell everyone else about this. Were you aware that Levi's, that they use your concerts as stress tests for their men's jean zippers? So they'll take their guys. It's called the Nima test. Yeah, it's real big in the industry. And so far, like Levi's R&D team, they've been able to like design a zipper that can make it through a full show without busting at one of your shows. So that's like how they test. And so like you got to rate them for how many Nimas those zippers can take. So that's
this is really interesting to me. Is this real life? What's going on?
I mean, if you believe it, then it's true, right?
Oh, I see.
And if you're a pop star, then and you believe that you're a pop star, it's true.
Well, Levi's needs to start paying me.
Fair. So as far like I understand that whole thing. So before I was in the Army, I had like a strength and conditioning website that was like almost satirizing like masculinity and stuff. And I actually had a really big gay following too. So during that, I just didn't do a good job of monetizing anything. And I ended up selling some books and stuff. So like, how are you trying to monetize like whatever the fuck this is?
I probably am doing a terrible job at monetizing what I'm doing. I'm more just trying to establish like get my work out there and get a following before I even focus more on monetizing. Like right now, the shirts, you told me they were nice and cottony. That's not even the base level one they were offering. I got the nicer one. I sell them all for like sell everything for at cost.
Yeah,
I kind of I want for me having fans is more important.
for sure. Yeah, I think that's important because if you're in it for the fans, then it'll be a great time. Um, the when we were talking about trying to think of like some questions for you, someone was like, what if like Sturgill opened for Popstar Nima, and it was like Popstar Nima
It was my
featuring Sturgill Simpson, like that we were just giggling about all this stuff because again,
a great show, and we are both pretty much what country we would say.
exactly, yeah, dude. He have you ever heard of a turquoise Jeep?
No, but that sounds like a beautiful car.
They have like a beautiful. They have a like a record label, and so there's like a guy named Flint Flossie, and so basically what you're doing for this, he's doing is like a character, like a rap character.
Oh
He's
wow.
like he's like a black guy, but his like character has like a crazy mustache and goatee thing and like wears sunglasses and he dances really cool. But they have like a whole like record label of this, and they go on tour and they like have all these ridiculous artists that are satirizing or paying homage to like R&B or rap. And like Slick Mahoney is a white guy who's like has a song called Sex Syrup. So it's basically what you're doing. And but when Sturgill and I were hanging out once, we watched them and we were tickled by it. But like it's interesting because I didn't grow up being an artist of any kind. And now that I've been around musicians and other types of artists a lot, and actors and stuff, they like notice when they notice the art inherent in things, and now I'm able to see it, and like I see it in your stuff and like in the turquoise Jeep stuff because it's like the layers of comedy, but also like the interesting passion associated with it.
Oh.
Um, so I've been blown up, and I'm trying to remember what my train of thought was, but basically we thought it was funny, and so when you're in the creative process for developing an idea, it's just dicking around in the shower is what you told Tosh. And then then what happens?
I think, yeah, I
Did it just grow? Does it grow on top of itself over time? Or do you just like get these ideas like I'm going to wear these types of leotards?
well, I mean, as far as the songs go, I kind of usually a jingle will just sort of, I don't know how, but God chooses me, and they just sort of happen. Like Jimmy Hurt Himself, for example. Uh, it it was at the cafe I own. Like one of the employees, his name is Jimmy. He burned his finger in the oven. It wasn't too bad. It was like a tiny little one.
Okay.
But and then so just to cheer him up, I did like Jimmy Hurt Himself. And then I was like, that should be a song.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of imagine what the music video will kind of be like when I make it. So I usually will, sometimes something in real life will inspire it, but I'll usually kind of go in a direction to make the song, funny for people. And
Yeah. Is your favorite song actually My Asshole? Because as you told Tosh.
My favorite song at that point was My Asshole. And now it might be off a new album. I kind of really like this one. It's called Hunter Knows You. I just go, Hunter knows
Yeah.
knows you. I just really like that one. And it's because it's uh based on my friend Hunter, but his Instagram handles actually Hunter Knows You. That's how I made that one. And I just really like that one. It's really creepy and funny.
Yeah. Why is creepy funny though? Like, why is that funny? Because like, there's the one song, I don't remember which one it is, but you're like, so I can fuck you or something, like, like it gets like really weird all of a sudden.
I don't know why I really wanted to go creepy for this album. I just thought
I noticed that you did different. It seemed like you had like a development in the voices, because like the Joshua Tree voice is like, I don't really know. It's like a deep voice that's like, I see here, it's like, so, and then the other ones are like really high pitched. So like is that just like inherent when you make a stupid jingle and you're like, it's just, that's what you're doing?
I kind of imagine like there's different characters. Like there's like Cowboy Nima, there's Chipmunk, there's football player Nima.
Okay. That probably makes it easier to keep it sorted then.
Yeah, it's like
Did you
that
say
one.
football player Nima? Which
Yeah,
that one?
that one's like that wasn't hot enough. He's like, I see your face at the
Oh, okay. And then what's Cowboy Nima like?
He's just like, fill me up, Phil.
That is right, because he's like that's got a whole country vibe to the video, and then
Sometimes it'll be like Cowboy Nima featuring like the regular Popstar Nima, a little bit of Chipmunk Nima. They all chip in. It's like a band in my head. It's pretty
yeah. So Chipmunk Nima is the little high pitched one then,
oh yeah.
but
Yeah.
but aren't there different ones of that too?
There's different ones. There's yeah, I kind of do it like I'm serious. And then I don't know, I guess sometimes I'm a little bit like in between. It's not so high pitched that it sounds insane.
Yeah.
Um,
You know,
I don't know. I don't have to sing the whole thing.
and then I want to come back to the voices, but one of the reasons that this is important, this type of stuff, and why just enjoying it is important is because like with whatever the fuck just happened this past year, you know, like, and people being essentially stuck in their homes with computers and like getting just progressively more anxious and the conditions being awful. I had to talk to people early on and figure out like the only thing you can really do is just try and celebrate life along the way. And I like found Leslie Jordan on social media. If you know who that is, he's like a, I want to say he's like in his 60s, but he's like an older gay man who's a comedian actor of some sort. And he's just like, he's super funny. And so I discovered all these like different things that were just like on the internet to be like either sweet or funny or fucking ridiculous. And that's the stuff that like doesn't really fuck with the regular part of the world. But like, do you see yourself doing any kind of art that is gonna like start encountering like something, not to say that you're gonna move away from penises and dick jokes and stuff, because but like incorporating those into like other things, like what do you think this is gonna go next?
I get that a lot. I get kind of the question of like, what do you see yourself doing with this? And I mean, I guess the ultimate dream is that it's this, but that this isn't so weird for people. That this is something that
Oh yeah.
like, you know, a just like any other form of musician or entertainment that you would find. Yeah, I would be basically getting a Grammy and touring. um yeah, I want to just keep on doing this until I can go further and go to the next level and just reach a wider audience so that more people can hopefully like what I'm doing. But yeah, I mean, for me, there is no like cap to it. I want to always try and make it further and get better.
Do you think that people think it's weird just because of the content or because you're gay?
I think there's a lot to it that people think is funny. I mean, typically you're probably seeing me kind of dance more like the way that you wouldn't really see a guy dance. You're probably
Yeah.
seeing and not dressed like the way you normally would. You're seeing someone do kind of voices that you would think are kind of odd. The topic is you more explicitly I mean, I guess music is already explicitly sexual, so the gay part is probably what is a little bit for them maybe weird, but for me all that's normal. So
Yeah.
I want to just keep doing it until other people can be like, yeah, it's just another person being normal, but it's funny still. I do
You
want to
know,
be funny. I get that part.
yeah. That's if you're doing that, and at least if you're amusing you and your group of friends, then I mean you know that already works, so you just keep doing that. Have you ever heard of Rudy Ray Moore? I think is his name.
No, what's up with that?
There's a guy. There's a movie on Netflix that Eddie Murphy's in, and he plays the real person or the character that is based on the real person named Rudy Ray Moore, and he's the one that made like the original Dolomite movie, which was the blaxploitation movie, but that started a genre of movies of blaxploitation where they're like like satirizing the socioeconomical situations, always like black folk against the man and stuff like that. And they're usually comedy movies. And then the modern movie Black Dynamite is satirizing and paying homage to all of that. So that's like Black Dynamite is like a film about that, like what you're doing with what you're doing. So, but Rudy Ray Moore, coming back to that, he was a guy that like I think he was trying to be kind of like a funk musician, and then he kind of was just getting older and he was in his 40s, and he's the guy that started dressing like as a ridiculous ass pimp with the big hat and the feathers, and he did a character like I'm gonna eat that pussy like a man on a mission, and like saying weird shit like that. And he's like known as the father of rap, and that he like I think he's been on Snoop Dogg's. I don't know. He's been on some people's records apparently, but the movie that Eddie Murphy's in is about his story. And he was convinced that he could be a star, but everyone told him like, you're fucking washed up, like shut the fuck up, like you're just a nobody and you're drunk, whatever. And then he just fought hard and played this construct. He became the construct, and then he put all of his effort into making a movie that he didn't have the money for, and he was like in debt for, and then he had to convince like people to work on it. And Wesley Snipes plays the director. Wesley Snipes is insane too, like, and he's like satirizing himself in it. And it's just like, it's this fantastic movie. But the reason that I bring it up at this point in the conversation is because when you talk about what you want to do in the future, like Rudy Ray Moore just kept like what he envisioned that was going to be success. It was this movie, and he did it, and it like became a huge thing. And then he just kept doing that. And that was like he became a star as a result of that. So I guess like he just was himself. He made up something and he just did it, and he did a new thing and he did it on his own. And like so you just keep doing whatever you want to do.
That's what I'm trying.
Enjoy it. And I don't know, like, you know, that upward spiral thing, like the good things will come. It's kind of like corny as fuck, but like if you want to hear about it, but in meditation, I think like there's a case for that like things continue to upward spiral when you're doing the proper things for your mind and everything. So just that positive mindset. So anyway, if that's any kind of like as a fan or as like hopefully like a future friend, like maybe that can help push you keep pushing you out like in the direction you're going and being like, yeah, keep doing whatever you're doing, because
current friend, you don't gotta say future friend there. But no, I think that all makes sense. Just sort of, I mean, I kind of already feel lucky in that I've been able to do what I'm doing and have attracted the support that I'm getting. Just like I said, to be able to make the music videos that I'm making now, I have people who are helping me for usually either for free or for way below what I deserve. And I feel so lucky that they even want to work with me. But it also means so much that they like what I'm doing and want to be a part of it. And yeah, I that in and of itself, like if I got shot tomorrow from somebody hating my work so much or something, I would have at least had that happen, and that already feels like a miracle to me. So
that you haven't been shot.
No. Oh. I'm like, if I don't know, shot getting is kind of it's a bad example, but
okay.
if I just died, sadly.
Yeah. No, I mean that's something that, I mean, philosophically speaking, that is something that we should consider. Is like that. Like I do this type of meditation. This Sam Harris has this app called the Waking Up app. I'm not sponsored or anything. I just always recommend it, and I'm trying to just see if more people will do it. But one of the concepts is like, regardless of whatever the fuck this is, like we don't know what it is, but we do know that it's going to end, and we know that if we live long enough, we either going to die or someone we love is going to die.
Right.
And that's like part of it. And so whatever the fuck this is like to appreciate what it is when it's happening. There's a lot of things. I've had a lot of interesting experiences with meditation, and I've had a lot of weird stuff going on like in life. So it's like, I think it just kind of like sets the tone for allowing the space for the things to happen the way that they happen. And then being so the idea of death, sorry, I had to like find my breadcrumbs in my mind. Is the idea of death is that, like, for instance, we're roughly the same age, and if we get 40 more years, we're going to get like 15,000 more days, I think, roughly. So like there's only so many days, like there's only so many times that you're going to have a dick in your mouth, or that I'm going to watch a Popstar Nima video, or not to assume that you like having dicks in your mouth. I apologize, but but there's only so many days, there's only so many times, there's only so many sunsets, there's only so many times you're going to see Palm Spring again, and there's going to be a time and it's the last time you see Palm Spring, or the last time you perform on stage. So like, it's, on one hand, it can be corny, like, you know, play it like it's your last game, but like this is more like, man, I don't know how many more times I can do this, because like, I mean, I stepped on a bomb and my life is different, and I know people can get in a car wreck and they can be an amputee. So it's like, you can still dance as an amputee, by the way, but like it just changes shit. So like things can be completely different, and like you got a finite number of times to be on stage and the finite number of silly motherfucking songs that you can make and put on the internet before something is gonna result in you not doing that, you know, like whether it's you pass away because you have been doing it your entire life, or you just get sick of it. So I don't know, enjoy every second of it and soak up every experience.
I think
Period.
that's
That's it.
right. I kind of try and treat everything like I don't know what my opportunities will be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've always had that thought in my head. I was like, who knows? Maybe tomorrow I could die. So I'm like, today, but I with every music video I make, I'm like, this make it like it's the very last one, like the best thing you've ever put out. Make it with every performance I do. I'm like, make it like it's the best performance you've ever done. And I don't know
I'm
if I think that's just something I do to psych myself out to make myself do a better job. But I also kind of think it keeps me like grateful for what's going on every day. Yeah.
yeah. Have you do you find that you had to learn how to be grateful, or did it come naturally?
Um, I think, this is going to sound kind of corny itself. I kind of, when I was younger, I don't know how young I was. I saw this like little documentary that was already a book that everyone ever. That's the corniest thing, The Secret.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. And then when I was like, oh yeah, all right, be grateful, be positive, and it'll attract more. And then I really like took that seriously, and then it kind of stuck with me pretty well. And I kind of you know, try and think as positive as I can, try and think, um, like really be grateful for what I have and, you know,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
And the thing about something like this, have you read The Secret since you were a kid?
So I did rewatch the documentary, but I never read
Oh,
it.
there's a doc. I haven't seen the documentary, but
It's basically the whole the book, but
okay. I think I read the book when I was a teenager or something. But
I can't believe we're talking about The Secret.
this, some people, you know how some people will just blatantly write it off as bullshit, and then some people are like completely bought in that it's like something that is happening, right?
Mhm.
And either way, like they're right. That's
Right.
the thing about the way the mind works, because um I don't know why I'm going to get into this, but I'm going to circle back to The Secret really quick. But if you have like a container and that is awareness, the anything that happens inside of that is just what the experience is. And so if you have something in it that is Nima, that is the self of Nima, that is appearing in awareness. So that's like the premise behind meditation. And then, so if you, as more thoughts and arise about what it is to be Nima or Justin or a person that is like when they're born, they're given a name and an identity, and all these ideas about what they are built up to a self. So we have these ideas about ourself. And if something happens or like we learn behavior patterns that lead us astray, then we develop into like, you know, things that may not be good for us or negative, or just like def- thought patterns that don't really cause problems until we're fucking adults type thing.
Yeah.
And then so that can downward spiral, right? Like I have treatment resistant depression and post traumatic stress disorder. And so when things like, and I have a lot of trauma that is like really weird. I've been in a lot of combat, relatively speaking. I mean, I physically got blown up. I've like saved some people in combat, and then there's some emotional stuff aside from that. So like that stuff, when it triggers a symptom, for example, which is a condition that those experiences provided, that causes a cascade of reactions, right? And so those reactions become negative. And so I'm giving an example of like a downward spiral, because like trauma compounds on itself and it keeps adding more symptoms, and those symptoms cause it's easier to go down that spiral, like especially the more the spiral happens like over time. And so The Secret is kind of an example of how, in the analogous to the meditation shit, that you essentially start upward spiraling. Because if you're in a completely anxious, like tormented state, or depressed, or whatever is negative, then like it's your mind is in a condition that all that's reacting. And then you have to, like, something has to change in order to like change that. And so even if it's just one little moment in a day where there's a piece of positivity, or the burden is gone from being whatever all the fuck that self is, that can upward spiral in meditation from like a different perspective. But The Secret is kind of doing that, in that it's just instilling the will, the goodwill and open-heartedness and almost like curiosity, which is oddly what you achieve when you fucking meditate. So it's like they took it from like some practices of like meditative yogi stuff and Buddhism, and maybe like kind of just modified it for like this mentality that like you just feel really good. And so like if you feel really good, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy because it's upward spiraling. So that's all a long fucking thing because that's a lot of stuff that's been in my mind. So thank you for listening. But like that seemed related because you mentioned how seeing that early on had an imprint on you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally. It's like, why not be positive? Why like not make the best of every situation you have in your life? Why?
Yeah.
Uh, it's easier said than done sometimes, for sure. But shrooms help. Have you tried that?
I want to talk to you about that in the future. How often have you done those?
I mean, I did a microdose today.
Nice. What's a micro for you?
Uh, I mean, this guy, my shroom dealer, just gives me this bar, and he's like, if you have this one little piece, it's a microdose, and if you have half the bar, it's like a normal dose. You have the whole bar, you're gonna really.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So yeah, I
If you
guess.
take the dry weight and if you get dry ones, then you can like titrate it exactly because it's usually 10 to 30 mgs for psilocybin because it's usually 1/10. I read all the research on all this stuff because they're in FDA trials to get confirmed for therapeutic use, and MDMA is like the front line on that. But I understand, like I read a lot of neurophysiology and stuff, and so that's what I'm into also is that and the cannabis, and so understanding the utility in those, and then how they tie into healing. Because I also study trauma healing because I found that I need to, so and I learned a lot about that. Have you? We don't have to get into it, but have you experienced like trauma in your life in general?
I mean, I think for me, well, I don't want to be like, oh, super down or serious person, but I think growing up, I sort of was like not a popular kid at all. I kind of had a rough time,
Yeah.
and
By the way, don't feel you don't have to defend yourself against like the idea of like something happening or trauma because like whatever the fuck I think about it doesn't mean shit, or anybody. So like it's what the experience was for you. And so honor that because it had, whatever it is, it had an imprint. Cause like how old were you when I don't know what the right question is. So if you need to correct me, please feel free. When did you is it like you know that you're gay or that you realize it or like how did it work in your case?
I kind of was like, uh, well, I always felt pretty like different than the regular. Than not, I shouldn't say regular. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I always felt different than the other guys around. Like sort of felt more like none of them really are into Britney Spears' "I'm a Slave for You." That song's awesome. What's wrong with that? And just not being able to relate to them at all. And
Yeah.
I
And
guess
so
I
is
sort
that is that teenage years right there?
yeah, I mean, well, feeling different, I think, was from the beginning. Like,
Okay.
and then I think kind of just around puberty time, I don't know, 12 and 13, I was like, guy butts are looking pretty good. And then by I was kind of like, no, this can't be it. No, no, it's just a fake. I don't know what's
Yeah.
good. And then by the time I was 15, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty gay. That's all in my brain. Yeah. And I guess I probably came out when I was like 17 or something.
Okay. So when you were growing up during all that time, do you think that had to do that whatever was going on that you felt how you were different, did that influence like how you interfaced with the kids? And is that why you felt like you weren't like alone or like not popular and stuff?
Yeah, I think that had a lot to do with it. I just sort of like had a hard time making friends. I like didn't really wasn't able to kind of make friends with the guys, and then I guess I could have probably tried to make friends with the girls better. Sometimes I would, but I ended up being like the fat kid that everyone made fun of. So I was like, I'm just gonna be a
Mm.
loner who hangs out with like the adults during recess. I did that the whole time.
Yeah.
So it was cool. I ended up dropping out early. I got my GED when I was 15 and
Oh, nice.
went to community college. The guys were like all older and hotter, so like it's cool. It all worked out. I ended up getting like I went to school early. I got my master's when I was like 20. I was like, all right, whatever, this is better.
Did you say you have your master's?
I got that. Yeah,
Oh, awesome. So what's your undergrad and master's in?
I got undergrad. I was like, because I went to community college. I did
Right.
everything young. I was 18. And I got my bachelor's degree in sociology, and then my master's in public administration when I was 20. And I worked for the mayor in San Francisco for a while, um, and
That's pretty
mayor.
cool.
But I was like, it's fun being the funnest person in the office, but I really want to like be a pop star or something.
Did how long did you live in San Francisco?
I went to school up there for undergrad and for
Oh, okay.
so I was there for about 6 years.
Is
Or
that is that an experience living there? I've got a friend that lives there. Uh,
when I was there, it was sort of before it became, it was definitely still like, Silicon Valley and all that, but it was like less the way it is now. It still had a little bit more of like a big city that had a small town charm almost to it.
yeah.
Now I think it's sort of feels like the Manhattan of the West Coast or something. But it's still a beautiful, it's the most beautiful place I think I've ever lived in.
Really?
Some of the
I've
nicest.
been there. I've been there a good handful of times. My mom lived in Napa when I was in high school,
Oh, yeah.
so we would visit and then go to San Francisco quite a bit. So I've trekked around there and really like it. It's and then we were on tour and Sturgill and I were there uh when that tour was going on. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But as far as like but you kind of like became, well, you had an interesting teenage years. It's like did you feel like you like had to, or that you chose to grow up early?
I felt like, yeah, I was like, this kid stuff isn't working out. No, I was pretty much like, this all sucks. I can't wait to like be an adult.
Yeah,
That was kind of
because
what
because it does, right? It's fucking stupid.
I was like, this really, really sucks. I can't wait to get out of this shit. So
Yeah,
I found when I was like, you can actually like test out of this and not do this anymore, and like be around the people you want to be around.
yeah.
That sounds way better.
So where did you grow up in high school?
I grew up in Orange County.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've been there too. That's so did you find like what scene did you hang out with when you were, did you spend 4 6 years, or how long were you in San Francisco
San
for
Francisco,
school?
I think it was. I mean, I lived out there for about 6 years. I ended up like making friends with the kids in the College Democrats. And there were a couple of friends who actually, or just one friend really, who I went to elementary school with me, who uh, we didn't really like see each other for many years. And then she ended up going to San Francisco State. And so I like became friends with her. I became friends with just some of the, I guess mostly like the young liberal kids. And then
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and the friends from school, mostly. That was really where it was at. And then friends from work, I ended up working in the law office for a while, and then in City Hall, I made some friends.
So growing up there, did you ever run into issues regarding like homosexuality or like homophobia? Or did you like have to run into that stuff in California, or is it like an area in a school that is not typically like that?
Oh no, they love talking about people being gay. It was,
Uh,
I mean, Orange County is a little bit more. It was, I think it's slightly, it's still conservative, but I think it was way more conservative than, and
I forgot about that
I
about Orange
was
County.
realizing I was realizing, oh, this whole thing being different from everyone is being gay when I was like around 12, 13. But kids knew I was gay before I did. They were constantly telling me. So uh
But was that like, was that a problem at the time? Like, did it feel bad? Like, did it feel like mocking or anything, or was it just like, hey man, you're
I mean, that
gay?
was that was fully their intention. So I think that probably didn't help with like coming to terms with who you are. It's like
Yeah,
everyone's calling you fag, and that's a bad thing. Oh no, you actually are one. Oh no, they
yeah.
were right. But I'm like, now I'm just like, yeah, they were right. Look at them now. Whatever.
But the best way. So the reason I'm kind of like slightly delicately excavating this topic is because like I'll tell you a story and then I'll continue with what I'm saying. So one of my friends that was in the army for a long time, he lived out in Georgia, and then we went out to Auburn with some of his friends, and then one of the officers that his wife was friends with had a boyfriend. And at the time in the military, and I'll remind everybody that in 2009, if you sucked a dick as a guy in the military, you would get kicked out. And that's fucked up.
Right.
Like the And technically, regardless of gender, sodomy is illegal if I have that correctly, or maybe that's an old school wives' tale of the army or something. Anyway, this is before I was ever in the army, and I was hanging out with this dude, and he was fairly flamboyant, like kind of a more feminine type characteristic of like how his personality was. He was so funny, and so I was like drinking beers and just listening to him and hanging out with him and stuff. And I'm like a fairly large, I'm like 6 foot, like a 200 something pounds guy, and so. But we're in Alabama, and then we were walking out, and mind you, we were just at a table on the patio, like by ourselves, and then someone was like, "Fragger," and then I was like, kind of drunk because we had been sitting so long. I was like, they just yelled that at us, and he was like, "Yeah, it's not very nice, is it?" And I was like, "No, that's awful." I was like, that's mean as fuck." And then he got upset that night, but like he told me stories where he got the fucking shit beat out of him and like broken ribs in high school and stuff. Like, did you ever have to run into that kind of stuff, or was California just kind of like a softer appeal to that kind of stuff?
I didn't get like full on like beat up, like punched in the face. I was definitely like shoved against lockers, like in the bleachers, like kicked when I was like sitting, things thrown at me. One
Yeah.
time this guy like peed in a water bottle, and then like it was open and threw the pee at me. That was kind of rude. But that was like
Yeah.
probably the worst ones. But for the most part, it was mostly just verbal because no one
Yeah.
wanted to get in trouble.
I appreciate you sharing, by the way, but because when I think of like, I just I didn't get bullied growing up, and I really haven't been marginalized until I've been a disabled person, and now I'm part of an interesting minority because I'm still like a white guy, but I can barely move around now, and I can walk around, but I can't like walk very far, and I can't like go on a walk comfortably. So, and also I've just been dicked over by my government, so I have all these like ways of like empathizing with people that I didn't have, because it's kind of like I don't know what it's like to be a pop star because I'm not one. I just have the idea of what it is to be one, right? And you don't know what it's like to be Green Beret or get blown up, and you wouldn't know until those things happened. And it's just like it just doesn't happen until it does, until the experience is there, which is why experience is so important. But uh I just know that I can understand, like, after going through, like, I was weak and lonely as a kid. I started lifting weights in order to make up for that. I kind of went like the route of the straight version of you, and I wasn't like unpopular, but I was like, I had a lot of stuff associated with feeling weak and lonely, and like building up armor around that, and never feeling emotion until, I don't know, like a few months before I got hurt, and that was about 2 years ago. So living for like 33 years of not knowing what the fuck's going on. No, and I still don't, but I at least feel like I can be a little healthier. But the observation, just from what little we've interacted, is that like that stuff hasn't, you've like managed to maintain positivity in spite of that. And part of what I thought this podcast was going to be when I first started was like talking about this type of aspect of people's lives and exploring them. So I guess it just is naturally happening now. But like, did you feel that the positivity was like, that's something that you could do in spite of that, like when you were implementing the secret type stuff? Or is it like how do you not lose faith in like fellow humans when that stuff is happening to you? And I know it wasn't significant, but I
Yeah,
think it is part of like growing up and that it's being significant.
I think it sort of like what it taught me, just thinking positively and all that was, yeah, I mean that was your past. You can either choose to like, be like woe is me, or you can do what you can to have a better future and a better present moment. And yeah, it definitely helped like lift me out of a sort of funk of like kind of to feel more empowered, I think, because it really, yeah, I mean, you can't choose your circumstances a lot of the times, but you can choose what you do with them. And I was dealt some cards that, aren't ideal for some people, but I, it's what you do with it. And, I think you're doing that too.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that you just said that, because we're saying some of the same things that that I would normally say in the lessons I've learned, but one thing that I would like you to explain a little more is the idea of empowerment, because it's it's something that I'd like to understand it more. So like when you take ownership of your situation, that would be something that would result in empowerment, right?
I think just anything where you're feeling like hopeless, helpless, in despair, sort of feeling like you uh are just having negative feelings about everything. Um just trying to, like you said, it snowballs, and
Mm-hmm.
um really trying to those, I think all those feelings, depression, anxiety, those are all things that aren't empowering. But kind of, those are all feelings that aren't empowering. But if you
Yeah.
channel feelings that are more positive, it really will make you like more capable of attracting more powerful, like positive things in your life, and bringing in people in your life that would appreciate you and want to be friends with you.
Yeah.
Bring in people who like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure if I kind of knew a little bit more about power of positive thinking when I was a little kid, I probably would have found a little group of kids in Orange County to get along with. But it all worked out
we
eventually.
we don't really learn how to fucking do really anything as a person. And uh, let me see if I can kind of repeat back some of what you said, because you mentioned like the ability that you can't choose your circumstances, but
Mhm.
you can choose what to do with them. And what's interesting about that is that I know that experientially via meditation. It's allowed me. So in the practice of mindfulness, you develop awareness. And then so if we look at um, emotions are thoughts, and all thoughts are appearing. And so when you have a reaction to something, you don't get to choose that reaction, right? Like if you're just legitimately upset or surprised or aroused, like you don't choose any of that. It just is. That's why some of the, like, I assume, so correct me if I'm wrong, that some of the dudes you're into, you're like, there's something about that motherfucker, but like that guy is attractive, like, and it's like that we don't get a choice in that. But what we do get a choice is how we modulate the behavior after that. And if I was, you're my friend now, so you're gonna have to deal with that until until we're done. But until we're done with life, I mean. But like, if I could, all my friends, especially the ones that might have, if they have self-proclaimed emotional health stuff, then I would encourage them to meditate, because it facilitates that process. And I thought about this earlier, and I forgot it earlier, but like you said something about like being like sexy on stage, and
Right.
there's like a version of yourself that you're doing on stage, right? Because there's a version of me that is like a persona that is going to interact on a podcast or something, right? Like you're playing that up, and that's what I did as a Green Beret too, right? Like when I teach classes, I'm playing to my audience, but I'm always like trying to make them laugh so that they want to listen and stuff. Or like, and then combat's a little different, but like we're playing characters almost, because it's just like a version of ourselves that we want to be in that moment, and then there are no restrictions on what that is, and that's what it appears like you feel like on stage, right?
Yeah.
So I think that, just like as a friend, if you wanted to start a meditative practice, I think, and especially if you're uh, playing with mushrooms, psychedelic mushrooms, then I think you would have a lot of utility in that, because then you might be able to, you'll know like if you understand the self is an illusion, then like that helps a lot of moral and ethical arguments. But it means that like it doesn't matter what version of yourself you put on, like you can do whichever one you want, and it's just like enjoy it regardless, and be mindful and like aware of it, and just like present with all the sensations of it. It's like, if I it's to be silly, like if we're gonna imagine, let's do a little exercise, everybody.
All
So
right.
you close your eyes, I'm going to close my eyes, and it's not going to be an exercise that's boring, I promise you. Imagine a person that you are attracted to, that it's not weird that you're going to kiss them. And imagine with one single breath that you are fully present for a kiss with this person that you're attracted to. and then I'll be quiet for that single breath. But for that entire thing, follow this kiss and the breath from the beginning of it to the end of it.
Like you want me to
Starting just
making out with my eyes closed right now on this
so
camera?
so just take a breath, and that whole breath, just imagine just a single kiss, right? And so those are all unique, those breaths, those kisses. But what we just did is we purposely tried to induce ourselves to be mindful. And you can open your eyes. I don't know if I said that, but you you can induce a mindset in yourself. And so if you practice the ability to modulate your responses to your reactions, your stage persona might just like get a little bit of, it might just icing on top of it. I don't know, but it might just be easier to slip in and out of whatever it is to be you. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. I need to fuck with meditation more. But that is one thing that I know I should be doing. And I haven't done much of it all.
Well, Nima, excuse me, Popstar Nima, here's the thing, is that don't think about the shoulds. Think about, and you kind of already do this, right? It's just the way that we talk about it ourselves. But when you wake up in the morning, it's not like, oh, I need or should do all this shit. And then basically that kind of turns it into, I should do these. And if I don't, I'm a piece of shit. Because we're like an overscheduled, overworked, over anxious society that is being destroyed by social media.
Right.
And so don't wake up and think that you should be doing things like meditating. Like, if you meditate, you'll have benefit from it, and then you'll know whether you should be doing it or not. And I wrote 4,000 words on why meditation is beneficial for a beginner the other day, just on a whim, which I haven't posted yet. But like, I would have a dissertation for you on why it could be beneficial, but you might just do it and you might enjoy it, and it might help. It helps me heal. And so I just want to heal people and help people. That's why I didn't make any money before I was in the Army. And that's why I'm a medic. And I've saved people's lives, and people saved my life. And so I don't know, nothing else really makes sense unless we try and do that and also enjoy it with silly ass dick jokes along the way.
Heal me, Justin. Heal me. I will. I do a kind of in a way. I mean, I practice kind of like reminding myself what I'm grateful for. I do kind of. I try to put myself in the mindset of things of, you know, like with everything I'm doing now, just like if I already was successful in what I'm doing, and hoping, and sometimes I feel like that does help attract more success in a way. But full on just dedicating time to meditating, that isn't something that I haven't done that much. So.
Yeah. Well, all you would need to do on that app is 10 minutes a day, as far as like what a commitment is. And I think sleep is like one of the most important things you can do for your overall wellness, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. But I think meditation is even worth cutting in 15 minutes of sleep to do it. And I'm like really weird about sleep, which we haven't talked about, but like the way that I try and go about my sleep, which I haven't really slept in like a month because of other stuff. But the meditation is so important that it's only 10 minutes a day. And I'm going to do it with you this month. I posted on my social media. I'm just redoing the intro course just in case anybody like wants a friend for it. I just send it to my parents and my friends and stuff. And so I'm going to do it. If you want to do it, then I'll do it with you, and I'll tweet about you every week if you want about the stuff. And then you got more Twitter followers than me, but the Instagram, I fucking hate social media, but we will try and leverage your stuff.
Oh.
Let me ask you some questions from social media, speaking of it, and then we can kind of like start easing into a conclusion here. This is, again, like, I don't know if this is the right way to ask this, and you'll have to forgive this person. I don't know them, but like, I'm sure that I don't know how many people, I don't know how many friends, I don't know how many guys have never met a gay guy or have never been friends with one or anything, because
probably a lot.
What'd you say?
Probably a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, but they might also get to the point where they're like, yeah, that is fucked up that's like something that people don't like, but then they don't have no idea how they can like help or something. And so this person's question is, what can straights do to be a good ally?
What can the straights do to help the gays?
And that's funny, because it's like, I'm going to start before you. I'm sorry to speak. I'm not speaking for you, but like what I observe here in my like effort to be very kind and compassionate in life and change how I view things is that like this is delineating like a difference between people that are straight and gay, and I feel like that might have been where you're going with it. But that's
Oh,
weird that it like separate, but like
word straights because I thought it was cute. I didn't really. I didn't think too much into it. I mean, I don't know what you can do to help, really. Besides, you guys can do to help. Besides, really, just being compassionate and kind and educating people who you hear, like when you come across people who are being, uh, ignorant or malicious, kind of, stepping up then and maybe, yeah, just speaking up more about uh, when things happen, just kind of using your voice to influence other people who might think that it's cool to hate gay people.
yeah, I yeah. The thing that is hard sell for people that grow up in a culture where it's just kind of normal to be against a certain type of thing, whether it's a religious culture that is like conservative, regarding abortion or something, or just any culture, because we have many cultures in the United States, by the way.
Right.
Afghanistan is the size of Texas, and granted, it's really old, but they have, a different culture in almost every valley type thing. But like in our country, like every region is its own culture. Like San Francisco's way different than fucking where East Tennessee is, like uh I'll just ask it. So like certain words, I grew up saying certain words that like I don't say now because they're derogatory towards various people. And some of them have to do with like the like things that you say when you grow up, like that's gay or something like that. So like is there a general consensus in the community of like, hey, let's just like stop saying that stuff because it's used in a derogatory manner and has been hurtful in the past? Or is the consensus like, hey, just be a good person, man, and then everything else will fall in place? Or like, how do you look at that?
I mean, for the that's gay thing, yeah, that one's kind of messed up because it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, well, why is that a negative thing?
Yeah.
um,
Did,
if it's
did,
gay, then it should be pretty cool. Uh, but I definitely, if someone is saying something that if they're well intentioned and they're saying maybe the wrong thing, they say that's gay and they don't realize. I've
yeah.
had family and friends growing up where they one of my earliest supporters of when I came out or whatever, that they would still say that's gay, and I had to like teach them afterwards that, hey, that's like not great, don't do that. Yeah.
So
But I definitely think the first thing is starting with, more than anything, is starting with with the compassion of being a good person and like not being a hateful person,
yeah.
and also you can kind of focus on your language and not really being offensive to people.
Yeah, there's this concept, and I'm not the one to distill Buddhist concepts. I've just read some of the Bhagavad Gita and stuff, but there's one concept that has to do with like the type of speech that you have is representing your ideas. And so I've actually kind of like I don't really have like a spiritual like essence to my meditation practice because it's fairly it just is it just doesn't need to be because it's just an experiential thing. So it is what it is type thing. So instead of having Buddhist concepts infused into that app, it just is the fucking practice, and it's just sitting and not being Nima for a little bit type thing. um but the idea of like the thoughts that are arising, like because when you speak you're having thoughts that are then turned into sound. It's synesthesia, which is the input of one sensory input and the output of a different one. And so it's weird as shit. And so it's a processing thing in our brain that like if we continue to say things that are hateful, then like we have hateful thoughts that are terminating in those sounds.
Mm.
So it's kind of like the same thing, that if we're saying something that even if it's underlyingly let's
That
say like just fucking mean or something, like a term with gay or even like a racist term or something, then we're just the words do mean stuff. And it just I think like the problem with a lot of culture is that they think the First Amendment means you can be an asshole, but it's like it's not illegal to be an asshole. It's illegal to like to do hateful stuff and violent stuff, but like don't be a dick just because you can say something. And so I think just by modulating what you say is proof that you're trying to be a good person.
I think, and that really I think that makes sense. It's sort of, it really, the whole being mindful, it kind of reminds you you're constantly using energy into being kind. You're like slowing down and being and not just regurgitating thoughts. You're thinking, oh, okay, this is hateful when I say this. You're reminding yourself to be nice to a group of people that you have ingrained in
Yeah.
yourself is okay to kind of talk shit on.
Yeah.
So that in that constant practice of, you know, thinking about what you're saying and then thinking about being kind to those people, I think actually makes you a nicer person to those
You
people.
know what, Nima? This is all coming back to the same concept that I keep going through, but like when you have awareness of how you respond, how you react to things, because that's what you're learning. It's going to be really bad in the beginning, so please don't feel like you're going to be awesome at anything. But in the beginning of when you're doing meditation, like you get lost in thought very easily. And mind you, lost in thought is just a thing. It's just having a speedy brain. And all you're doing is becoming aware. And so the instructor is like giving you the prompt, like, and when you find yourself lost in thought, return to the breath. It might be like a simple meditation cue. And so what it's doing is it's reminding you to have that awareness of what is just already happening, which is the breathing. And in this case is the reaction or the emotion associated with the reaction. And so you just kind of like described a roundabout way of modulating how you behave. And so like if you are more aware, aka if like you meditated, not you, but the general you, if you meditated, then you would have the awareness of what you're saying instead of just like saying it before you realize. You know how like people say things and they haven't even really thought about it, and it's like you're a fucking asshole, and it's just like it jumps out of them. That's what I'm talking about, because when you are aware and you're slow and at ease and like everything, you're open-minded and like curious and like open-hearted, then like you're not, if you're in that state of even like a loving lens of awareness, like you're not going to inherently want to be mean. Like it just doesn't make any sense because everything's equanimity, like everything's fine. Like it just is. So it's just interesting you said it like that. The next question,
No.
I'll just get this one out of the way because it's sort of related to what we just talked about. But he said like, this guy is bisexual, and he's like, I'm bisexual, and bi guys have a bad rep in the gay community. So it's like, does he got any tips? Or
Do they
like,
have a bad reputation in the gay community?
I don't know.
Uh,
What's your
I,
experience?
from my experience, it's sort of been well. I don't want to play into any more stereotypes, but I guess what the stereotype is, uh, I've heard more from people who the challenges that I've heard people who are bisexual experiences often with people who are straight not being comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And seeing them as someone they would pursue. They just think it's on the way to gay town or something. So, but I mean, in terms of gay guys dating bi guys, I don't know any that have had a problem from the ones I've known.
Mm.
Well, what was it?
How,
The question? Advice is what he's
like,
asked.
he said, any tips for a guy searching for love?
Any tips for a guy searching for love?
But he was framing it within the context of being bisexual, and I guess he's found difficulty within the gay community. I
Yeah,
almost did a social media post to be like, ask Popstar Nima about relationship advice, and just like doing a whole segment on that, but I didn't. We'll have to do it the second time we do this.
so it's next. Yeah, the sequel. I mean, I don't know if I should be giving any relationship advice myself. I'm usually single, but uh I guess just if the right person won't care. So, and everyone's on their own different journey with if they're gay and they're having a problem with it, then maybe they haven't dated for very long and they haven't experienced the whole, because when you're gay long enough, you realize there's the whole spectrum of people out there who are all somewhere else on the
Yeah.
where how gay they are. Or or not how gay they are, you know, where they are in the whole with all that. But yeah, the
Like
right
if they want to have a relationship versus just
right, there's
kind of
monogamous,
physical relationship.
there's exclusively gay, there's bisexual, there's everything. Um,
Yeah.
every type of person's out there, and the right person won't care. So I don't know, maybe they live somewhere where there isn't as many people to pick from, and that community is a little bit has their own general consensus going on or something. But yeah, I think in general, the right person, it's not your job to educate people
Yeah.
necessarily on that. If they're looking to date someone who is bi, or just looking to date and they're looking at people of different genders, sexual orientations, then they're in that place. And if they're not, then that person's just not there yet, or not the right person.
Yeah, I think that's pretty sound advice though, because I mean, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong if this is related to what you just said, but I feel like there's this theme of kind of just allowing yourself to be yourself. Not that you've had to try to do it though. Like you're not playing. I mean, the Popstar Nima might be like a version of yourself, but I don't think it's that far from like who you are. It's just like a fun thing to do.
No, it's like
Uh,
fun.
yeah. So, but you said it's not your job to educate, but I thought that was interesting to say because that's definitely true. But I think that's in general, like it's not anybody's job to educate someone on something that they're talking about. Like
Yeah.
I'm thinking in terms of like social media interactions where people have cognitive biases and there's all this dissonance and stuff, and people will say inflammatory things on the internet. And like if someone disagrees, I I'll be honest, man. Like when I post your stuff, people unfollow me because I have probably a predominantly like male and like military like
Oh,
community, and so like the very fact that like I'm even talking to you is probably like I don't know. When I did one on sexual abuse with women in the military, an episode, and those folks, those women told me like just the fact that you're talking about this is like a big deal. So I don't know, like you could masculinity is stupid anyway. Like it's okay to have, and it's but to do any construct more than just a subtle essence of what like a punctuation on who you are, to do anything more than that is like then you're getting weird unless you're having fun with it, you know, unless you're like paying homage to it and satirizing it. Like that's the bee's knees right there. But anyway, did you want to correct you said
followers for me. Oh, do I want to correct myself? Yeah, I guess when I said it's not your job to educate people, I guess it shouldn't be your job it's not your job to convince people they need to be educated. If someone
mm,
is open-minded and they seem like they just don't understand something, sure. But I don't know if like you're gonna be able to convince someone who's hard-headed about something that you
yeah.
can't get someone to be open-minded, I guess.
I,
Maybe you
I
can
I guess it, but even someone hearing this,
really spend too much time trying to make open-minded.
yeah, if anybody was hearing this, then and they had never like really thought about this topic, then they would at least have something to base it on, because I think, I mean, you know, all people aren't nice. So if you're like genuinely trying to be curious about something, most people are going to be nice, and it's how you go about it, and just that goes with anything. Um, what's the best part of the like? I guess you don't live in the desert now because you're in LA, but when you were in South and you're in Palm Springs, what's the best part of the desert? Is one of these questions.
Definitely Frontier Cafe in Yucca Valley. My
Ooh.
cafe. So that's fine.
Oh, nice. Are you still associated with it?
Yeah, I'm still one of the owners. I have
Oh,
business partners, so it's yeah, it's still there. It's still a great place to stop by. But I mean, if you're going to the desert, definitely go to the national park, go to Joshua Tree.
yeah. Which songs are the best to have wild, kinky sex to? It's one of the questions.
Uh I mean, I feel like Joshua Tree has got a nice beat to fuck too.
Joshua Tree's got a fucking beat, man. That was okay. I didn't really get into this earlier, but like, who does the music?
It's always someone different. So I usually write the songs, write the lyrics, make like kind of have the melodies of the vocals already ready,
Yeah.
and um will most of the time for the past two albums it was different people, but they were both my roommate. uh
Oh,
yeah, so one, but basically one was actually it was like helping me make beats in exchange for rent, which was a great situation.
yeah.
um
But I mean, those beats were cool, and
I
like,
couldn't have made it without them, so it really was awesome.
so sometimes I'm like, man, like I wish this video was slightly different because when I want to send this to someone and they see this video, they're so confused as to what is happening because the guy's in that weird fucking costume with the wiener on it. And and so it's like this song is cool. It's like the coolest, it's one of the coolest sounding ones as far as just the music portion, and then the way you're singing. Was that, which version is that? Which voice is that?
Cowboy Nima.
Cowboy Nima. Okay. now that there's now that
Different.
there's names for it, now we're gonna like pay attention to it. But I get videos all the time of people like dudes like doing Cowboy Nima impression, like I like it when your dick is where. Like,
I really like when your dick as well.
um,
Oh, that's really funny. That one I think is people's that song I didn't expect it as everyone's favorite, I think. I think it's just weird for them that it's like so gay and then the country voice and then the beat. All three of them are just interesting, and then three together is just like unexpected.
Well, man, I'm really glad that you came on. I appreciate it. I'm grateful for it because I remember sitting with my girlfriend and I was like, I think that I need to interview him because he seems like a lot of fun. And I probably need to have a lot more fun. And everybody needs to have a lot more fun. And they can by watching your stuff. So where can people find you?
Well, they can go to youtube.com/popstar Nima or find me on all music platforms at Popstar Nima. I made it easy. Or you can go to popstarnima.com.
That's even easier. So that's where all the things are. I'm just going to review some of the things we talked about. I thought some things I thought were interesting that you mentioned the empowerment and the helplessness. We didn't really talk about it, but helplessness is one of the quintessential results of trauma, and it definitely is something that removes empowerment, and that's like something of a theme that I'm like experiencing in my life, and so understanding it and like supporting it is interesting. Your idea that like you can't necessarily choose the things that happen to you sometimes or the conditions, but you can choose what you do with it. And then you talked about how like all this stuff can essentially afflict you or affect you if you like really focus on it, stuff that has been painful in the past. And I'm speaking from experience because I have a lot of rage and helplessness and stuff related to the army kind of dicking me over and not taking care of me appropriately. And so I have a lot of this like injustice stuff, and maybe it's because it just never happened to me before because I was a white guy. I don't know, but but it's just like you can't help the things. When you said that, it was oddly like in fitting in with like a fucking experience that I won't weird you out with right now. But I had an experience meditating the other day, like in a body work session. It's kind of like Reiki, but like myofascial release, and it was just kind of like a realization of kind of like letting go of all this stuff that has happened ever since I got hurt, and that it was like the past version of myself was dead. Because I know from meditation that this illusion of self is just an illusion. So it's like, but when you said that, I thought that was really interesting because like you keep saying these phrases and stuff that are fitting in with everything that I'm doing, and that's kind of fucking weird, man, because like you're just a guy on the internet and I'm a guy on the internet, and then when like now we're chit chatting and like you're saying a lot of stuff that's just like it's supporting things that I'm working on, and you're a positive influence because you're silly, and if they can't take a joke, then fuck them. And I really appreciate you, and I look forward to talking to you again in the future.
I really appreciate you too. Thanks for losing followers over me.
Nah, they came back. At least the numbers did. I don't care. I don't even care about followers, man. I just want to have a good time, just like you. And one of the things that you said that I want to re-emphasize as we say goodbye is that you really just care about like having the fans and like kind of doing things that the fans care about, and that means that the art isn't fake. It's not like you're sucking the teat of anything in order to like be something you're not. You're just doing what you're doing, and you want to have fun, and you want to just like the people that enjoy it, you're doing it for them. So thanks. You keep on doing it there.
Oh, thank you. It's been such a great time. I thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad I was on here.
Yeah, and we'll talk more because I think we have a lot more interesting things to talk about here in a couple weeks. Popstar Nima!